We're celebrating Pokemon's 20th anniversary, so we've lined up a list of the top 20 most memorable cards. Starting off our list is number 20, Double Colorless Energy. This card first appeared in base set. It was crucial for the fast and brutal strategies of early decks like Haymaker, allowing you to get ahead of the energy curve and unleash powerful attacks faster than your opponent could defend. Double Colorless Energy has remained a staple, and has been reprinted several times throughout the course of the game. Turns out KOing your opponent before they can raise their defenses is a pretty powerful strategy. Number 19. EX Team Magma vs Team Aqua introduced Pokemon that were dual type. Team Magma's Groudon exemplifies everything we love about the power struggle between the two teams from the third generation, where land meets sea and a Pokemon can be both fighting and darkness type. 18. While he may be recent, N is a strong supporter card introduced with the Black and White series. He even had a promotional print given out at the Pokemon 2013 to 2014 leagues, and helped players make a comeback when they were in a pinch. By drawing cards equal to the number of prizes you had remaining, you were able to punish your opponent for being ahead and catch up if you were lagging behind in the game. True to his nature, N was always ready to shake up the status quo. Number 17. Delta Pokemon were a short-lived experiment in the TCG where mutant Pokemon appeared as types different from what they usually were. Dragonite Delta was a lightning metal type. Its radiant card art makes it one of the most memorable Delta Pokemon. Number 16. Level X Pokemon were first introduced with the Diamond and Pearl series and were an alternative idea to the Pokemon EX. These special Pokemon were able to keep all Pokemon powers and attacks by its previous stage. Mewtwo Level X pays a slight tribute to its base set predecessor with the Pokebody, Psy Barrier, and Giga Burn, while not being super abusive. Number 15. Suicune is a sparkling symbol of purity and freshness, but even Team Rocket managed to corrupt it into darkness type. Team Rocket Returns was filled with classic Pokemon given a Dark Rocket makeover, with Suicune being notable for normally being a Pokemon associated with life and regeneration. 14. Misty's Wish is the card of choice from Gym Challenge and Gym Heroes. During Wizards' run with Pokemon, they printed cards that allowed you to ask your opponent questions, and you would get card effects based on what they chose. It was an interesting mechanic to potentially catch your opponent off guard, but ultimately could be a little bit predictable. We were also introduced to trainer-owned Pokemon such as Misty's Gyarados, a trend that carried over to future sets like Team Magma vs Team Aqua and Team Rocket. Number 13. Pokemon Legend replaced Pokemon Level X with the start of Heart Gold and Soul Silver expansion. Legend cards comprised of two parts, a top half and a bottom half, with a different legendary Pokemon in each half of the card. While the concept was cool, playing them was a feat. Both halves had to be played to the bench at the same time. Only 2 copies of each half were allowed in your deck, as both halves had the same card name. Regardless, these cards looked amazingly epic next to each other, and none looked more epic than Entei and Reiko. Number 12. What better way to celebrate the release of a massive movie like Pokemon 2000 than with a massive promotional card? This card was the size of the DVD case it came in, and it featured the legendary birds doing battle. Articuno Moltres and Zapdos is an epic card that every Pokemon fan wanted in their collection, even if it didn't fit in their trade binder. 11. Who doesn't love Team Rocket? Here Comes Team Rocket takes slot number 11 because this comedy trio has been with Pokemon since the beginning. The card allows you and your opponent to play with your prize cards face up for the rest of the game. While other cards like Town Map allow you to see your prizes, none are as instantly recognizable as Jessie, James, and Meowth. It was exclusively holographic in the original Japanese edition, and received a secret rare reprint in EX Team Rocket Returns. Number 10. If there's one thing Pokemon fans love more than legendaries, it's Pokemon with a swapped color palette. Since their introduction in the second generation, shiny Pokemon have been a much sought after prize by hardcore collectors. Shiny Gyarados introduced that craze to the card game, bringing over the iconic red Gyarados from the video games. This sanguine serpent is so popular, he's even made a comeback in Pokemon's most recent set, Breakpoint. Number 9. Pokemon X first appeared in the Ruby and Sapphire expansion, and they have evolved to become both a staple and a major role player in competitive decks. This Hitmonchan X was not only one of the first, but he pays homage to the original Hitmonchan card that was so powerful from the base set. Ironically, Hitmonchan EX is less powerful than his original incarnation, with the toned-down Steady Punch replacing Jab. Later Pokemon EXs had an increased power level that made up for them being worth 2 prizes, which is why they are still around to this day. Number 8. During Wizards' series of Pokemon sets, we were introduced to Crystal-type Pokemon. Starting off as a Colorless, there were several unique and rarer cards introduced with the Pokebody, Crystal-type. By equipping a specific energy to that Pokemon, the Pokemon became that type. Lugia was one of the first 3 to be printed and probably one of the cheapest in energy cost, in the form of Psychic. Because Crystal Pokemon changed their type, you could help give your Pokemon a type advantage over your opponent. Number 7. For a Pokemon card, Rayquaza Star commands a hefty price tag, with Mirror Mint versions being worth almost $200. Is it good? Not really. Holy Star is a situational attack with a heavy price, so it's by no means broken. The reason this card is so memorable is because Star Pokemon were both very rare and also featured shiny Pokemon. So a shiny legendary is a highly sought after prize, even if it isn't going into a deck. Number 6. Dark Raichu was the game's first secret rare. Imagine the frustration of a collector who thought they had obtained every card in the set, only to find out there's one more phantom card lurking beyond the final number. It made catching them all a true challenge, and the taste of victory when you finally found one that much sweeter. Plus, an evil version of this series' mascot's evolution, who wouldn't want that? Number 5. We're entering the top 5 now. Who better to lead us there other than the one and only Bill? Bill was once considered a broken card and was used in every deck. Drawing 2 cards with no downside was amazing until they officially made him a supporter, so you could only play 1 per turn. This eventually led to reprinted and improved supporter variations, like Charon and Tierno, which allows you to draw 3 cards instead of the original 2. Number 4. Sneasel from Neo Genesis was one of the first Pokemon cards to ever be banned from Pokemon tournaments. It had the ability to deal up to 140 damage by turn 2 if you had a smooth setup, no weaknesses, and could take advantage of a free retreat cost. It received an alternate art reprint in Undaunted. However, they gave that version a weakness to fighting. Number 3. The Ancient Mew promo was released in 2000 during the theatrical run of The Power of One worldwide and only limited to the first week. While it isn't tournament legal, the misprint of this card is sought after by collectors and is a fan favorite. Number 2. To the surprise of no one, the original Charizard makes it to nearly the top of this list. This is what started the craze. This is what made playground kids hoard their allowance and perform shady sandwich swapping deals for. From a competitive perspective, this card isn't that good. It took too long to power up, and unless you had a handful of double colorless energy, you were going to be a sitting duck in between using it and powering back up. However, kids didn't care. This card had a fire-breathing dragon on it and enough holographic backing that you could read it in the dark. It was cool, it was sought after, and is one of the most memorable Pokemon cards ever made. Number 1. To celebrate Pokemon's 20th anniversary, what better way than Birthday Pikachu promo? It originally was available in Japan as an insert for Pokemon's 2nd anniversary calendar in 1999. Through September to November of 2000, Wizards of the Coast promoted this card through a MELD campaign where fans could submit a drawn picture of their favorite Pokemon card, and they would receive one of these cards in return. Happy birthday, Pokemon, and here's to the wonderful 20 years you have given all of us. Thanks for watching, and be sure to visit TCGplayer.com to pick up the cards you need to complete your own top 20 list.